Hey guys, it's Tahira, and today I'm doing my July wrap-up. In this wrap-up, I'm including all the books that I read pre-booktubeathon, and then all the books I read during the booktubeathon I'm going to include in my August wrap-up at the end of the month. In the month of July, I read a total of 5 books, which I know is not the best for me, but I don't know. I think I was just busy because I'm taking a prep class over the summer, and I just had homework for that and testing, and I was just busy with that, so I think that's what contributed to the amount of books I read. I'm not saying that 5 is a bad number. 5 is still a good number, but it's just I know I can do better than that. So the first book I read in the month of July was The Diviners by Libba Bray, which I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. The Diviners I loved so much. I love the atmosphere of this book, and it's just I just loved it. I feel like it's like different than what I've read in the past, and I think that's why I loved it so much. The Diviner follows the main character Evie O'Neill, and she's sent from her hometown in Zenith, Ohio, to basically go to New York and live with her uncle. Also, Evie O'Neill has this power where she can take an object that is close to a person and then see, I think they're like memories and stuff. She goes to New York and she starts her life there, and she makes some friends, and basically there's this murder that happens, and it's connected to like this cult, and just it's very dark and mysterious, and I love it so much. If you haven't read it, you totally should, because I love Evie O'Neill as a character. She's complex, and I love all the other characters so much. I can't wait to pick up Lair of Dreams and then the third book, Before the Devil Breaks You, because I'm sure they're going to be just as amazing. I can't wait to see where the story goes. The second book I read in the month of July was The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J Maas, which is the novella bind-up of all the prequel novellas to the Throne of Glass series. This one, I wasn't sure if I was gonna love it, but I was pleasantly surprised. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it so much. I wasn't a fan of all the novellas. Like, the first one was for me, and then like I think the one that was called The Assassin and the Desert, that was by far my favorite one. And then the final one, Assassin and the Empire, that was also amazing. I was completely blown away. I think it's because the first one and because some of them were kind of shorter, and then the ones I liked the most were like the longest one, because I think longest ones because they were like, I think, more fleshed out and there was more of a plot and a storyline to it. But yeah, I was so pleasantly surprised by how much I liked this book, and I think I really got an insight into Selena's character, which is really great. I actually read this because I'm planning on doing a reread of the Throne of Glass series in preparation for Kingdom of Ash coming out in October. So I started with The Assassin's Blade, the very beginning, and the next book is Throne of Glass. I can't wait to reread it. It's one of my favorite books of all time. It's gonna be such a good time. The third book I read in the month of July is Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. Clockwork Angel is the first book in the Infernal Devices series, and I love this series so much. The characters are so good. Like, Tessa and Will and Jem is just, I love it so much. I'm rereading this book as a part of the read-along of the Shadowhunter Chronicles that Emma from Emma Books is hosting. I've said this every month. I'm going along with a readathon, and not readathon, read-along, and I'm on Clockwork Angel, which means I still have to read the rest of the series. I'm currently, like, by the time when I'm filming this video, I'm currently reading Clockwork Prince, which I'm loving so much. And then I can't wait to finish the Immortal Instruments, and then finish the Infernal Devices, and then get on to rereading Lady Midnight and Lord of Shadows, and then all the novellas and stuff. And then I can't wait for Queen of Air and Darkness in December. I've already pre-ordered it. You know, Cassandra Clare, I've talked about her as she's like my favorite author, one of my favorite authors of all time, and I just love her books so much, and this is no different. The fourth book I read in the month of July is actually another Cassandra Clare book, and that is City of Fallen Angels. City of Fallen Angels is the 4th book to the Mortal Instruments series, and I like this. I think it's a little slow, like not much happens. There's a lot of, I guess, talk of stuff happening, but not a lot actually happens in this book, which I think is fine, because in a 6-book series, there's gonna be some books that are slower than others, so I think it's fine, but I still really enjoyed it. I think overall, honestly, I like the Mortal Instruments, like, a bit more than the Infernal. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the Infernal Devices to death, and I love the characters, but I think I love the characters of this, like, Clary and Jace and Simon and Izzy and Alec, and all of their, like, interactions and dynamics. They're just so much more fun to read about. I think they're also closer. They've known each other for so long, and I think that's what contributes to it. All the, like, the fun stuff that they always talk about. it's just, I like the, it's like, I think this is like a more fun to read book than the Infernal Devices. Like, there are still some dark parts of this series, but I think the interactions between the characters is one of my favorite parts of this series. Again, as I mentioned before, this is part of the read along that I'm doing for Emma Shadowhunter Chronicles read along, and I can't wait to read this so I can read City of Lost Souls and the City of Heaven Fire, and I'm having so much fun with this read along. I'm just so invested in the series again, and it's one of my favorite series of all time, and I'm like rediscovering my love for it. But yeah, anyway, this is really good. And the final book that I read in the month of July was Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. This book I gave a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I actually read it because if you don't know Kat from Paperback Dreams, she's another booktuber, she has raved on and on and on about this book so much, and she loves it so much. So I picked it up because of her, because I always like to read other people's favorite books just to see how much I like it, and I really liked this one. Radio Silence follows this girl named Frances, and she's basically this really hardworking student whose only goal is to get into Cambridge. And her favorite podcast is made by this person named Radio Silence, and what she realizes is that there's this guy at her school named Aled, I think. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but anyway, he is actually the creator of Radio Silence. So they find out about each other, and Frances tells him that she's the Radio Silence's biggest fan, and then they start working together on episodes, and it starts happening. This immediately reminded me of Eliza and Her Monsters, because that kind of follows a similar, where there's like this secret individual behind this like art online, and then someone else finds out about it. I thought the whole story would be about Frances finding out about Radio Silence being that guy from her school, but actually we find that they find out about each other very early on in the book, like about 100 pages in, and then we still have, it's a 500-page book, so we still have 400 pages. I was like, I don't know what was gonna happen, but it surprisingly wasn't about the show. It was more about their friendship, and I love their friendship so much. One other thing that I loved about this book is that it's so diverse, and every single main character falls on the LGBTQ spectrum, and it's just, I love that about it, because diversity is always so great. Anyway, yes, I loved this book. I love the friendship aspect of it. It's like, I love that there was no romance between Radio Silence and, not Radio Silence, Aled and Frances, and just sometimes it's refreshing to have a friendship in there. YA sometimes so saturated with romance. I think a friendship is sometimes good, just to have a refresher. But yes, in conclusion, I liked Radio Silence. Yeah, but that is it for my July wrap up. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know down below what is your favorite book that you read in the month of July, as I would love to know. But that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!